Welcome to the debate team ahead of a huge weekend in MLS where the top two teams in each conference are going to face off. Columbus, one in the East, taking on Real Salt Lake, two in the West. LA Galaxy, one in the West, taking on New York, two in the East. Huge matchups. We've talked a lot about how the league has been reshaped with all these big-name players coming in. So the question came up, who is the new favorite to win MLS Cup?
For me, Jason, it's not a new favorite. I said before the All-Star game, it's FC Dallas. They didn't tinker so much with the lineup, but they've evolved as the season has gone on. They have the best back line, in my opinion. I'll take that back four over anyone's in the league. I think Breck Shea on the left, David Ferreira in the middle, Atiba Harris. Then up top, you have Jeff Cunningham, Milton Rodriguez, shown that he can do stuff. I think they have too many weapons. You can't focus on any one of those and shut them down. And I think they match up well against Real Salt Lake because they like to play the ball. And I think they match up well against the LA Galaxy. So I think FC Dallas will get to MLS Cup and defeat whoever comes out of the East.
Guys, I'll stick sort of conservative and maybe unoriginal. I'll go with Real Salt Lake. I think now that Kyle Beckerman's back, I think that's the best midfield in the league. They're also a team that doesn't have to acclimate a new designated player into their lineup, which means that they don't have to depend necessarily on a new player. Jason Kreis has led this team before. Nick Ramondo's the best veteran goalkeeper in the postseason, and any team that's going to get to the MLS Cup is probably going to have to go through Rio Tinto.
Well, I never thought I'd say this, but I have to agree with Simon Borg on this one. I am with FC Dallas in this one. It has to be the favorite for MLS Cup. Simon ran through sort of the starting 11, but he actually skipped one player who I think is super important. Daniel Hernandez. He has been a rock in the midfield, and he has been the game changer for them in so many ways, allowing David Ferreira to move in all that space, allowing the guys on the flanks to make those runs because he covers in for those because he's not trying to get forward at all. I think Daniel Hernandez has made them the favorite for the MLS Cup final.
Well, guys, I'm actually going to go with the original favorite. If you watch the beginning of the season, I think the LA Galaxy are the team to beat right now. They're not in Champions League anymore. They can concentrate on the MLS season. They're going through a little swoon right now, which I think is actually related to the World Cup, and it's actually going to make them a better team on the other end because they're going to find their weaknesses, they're going to find their deficiencies, and they're going to address them by the end of the season. You also have a guy like David Beckham coming back in September to add a boost to this team, and they have the experience. They made it to MLS Cup last year. They know what it's going to take, and in the end, I think they're going to have home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs, and that's going to be the difference for them.
But aren't you worried that they're going to burn out? Aren't you worried that there's a burnout factor that's already starting to set in? I mean, yeah, okay, you could say it's just a little bit left over from the World Cup, but what if that continues? What if, I mean, if they lose another game or two? I mean, Dallas, by the way, fewest losses in the league, by the way, Simon, I believe, right?
Yeah, but with all the ties, they're not going to end up winning the West. The reason LA is going to win the West and have an opportunity to get players some rest is that 6 of their last 7 games are at home in LA. That's going to help them big time, resting up, going into the playoffs, and coming into the playoffs fresh, and that's going to be what wins them the Supporters' Shield and guarantees home field advantage.
Jason, the key issue we're seeing with the Galaxy right now is that they can't play from behind. That's their issue. This team is made to counterattack. Their issue is not they're tired. Their issue is not they need to get rest. This is not their issue. Their issue is when we said it at the beginning of the year when we had a debate about whether they were the best team in MLS. With all the records they had, they were. But we said, with a caveat, we have not seen them down a goal until that first game against Salt Lake. They cannot play down. Dangerous in the playoffs.
I'll give you that, Simon, but why it's not dangerous in the playoffs is because the playoffs are tight games. In the playoffs, you play those 1-0, 0-0 games. Galaxy can win those tight games. They don't have to chase games because they're not playing in these wide open games where the score is 3-2. They know how to win in the playoffs.
But what if they suffer the first goal?
Yeah. What if they get down a goal
against
a defensive team like Dallas?
And that's where I like Dallas. Right. Dallas, every time they've been down, and they've been down in some tough environments around the league.
At home to Philadelphia is a tough environment. At home to Philadelphia is a tough environment. You're telling me that's a tough environment for Dallas to come back in? I'll tell you why Dallas doesn't have the chance. They don't have the coaching that LA has. Bruce Arena's been there. He's done that. Jason Kreis has even been there, done that. Right. Schellas Hyman's never even taken the team to the playoffs.
They're facing other MLS teams. So Schellas Hyman has 3 years of experience against MLS teams. Don't make it sound like the playoffs is some different beast that you need to prepare for. Not at all.
That sounds like someone who's holding on to his argument.
The playoffs are not a beast.
No. Let me shoot some holes in FC Dallas first. Jeff Cunningham is a streaky, sort of mercurial striker that, he
but
gets
they
hot in August.
they haven't needed him. He has not started in 6 games.
Yeah, but they do not have any sort of killer instinct whatsoever. They tie every game. They're leading the league in draws.
They used to tie every game.
And when they go into Salt Lake, Dallas and Salt Lake are just...
Breck Shea has quietly become the best left midfielder in this league.
Who is going to burn out. Because as a player who hasn't played a full MLS season, you're going to see, come September, October, those legs of Breck Shea are going to be heavy, and he's not going to be the same player that he was.
No. His legs aren't going to be heavy. I actually look at the Galaxy, and you're shooting some holes in there. The Galaxy have a lot of experienced guys. Their legs are going to be heavy. What's going on with Berhalter?
The Galaxy have depth at every position.
What's going on with Berhalter?
They have Leonardo to play over Berhalter. The Galaxy have depth at every position.
I'm not pinning my hopes on Leonardo to get me to the MLS Cup.
Oh, but you are pinning your hopes on George John and Ugo Ihemelu.
The way
and
they're
there
playing?
is no depth behind them in Dallas. Tell me the next defender that Dallas has to play in the middle. No depth.
Agreed. You can bring
So how reliant are they on one player, David Ferreira, and a backline that they have no depth
You can go to every
behind?
team with that. Oh, Real Salt Lake, depending on Javier Morales. They're Galaxy dependent on Donovan.
Think about what happened to Real Salt Lake when Beckham was out. It's a reason you
say that
brought
about
Beckham
every
in.
And LA, when they lost Buttle and they lost Donovan, they still won without them, right? They didn't, until they came back from the World Cup, and they had to reintegrate all these pieces, including some tired players, play a bunch of midweek games. That's the only time you've seen the Galaxy slip up, except for that game at Real Salt Lake, which obviously Real Salt Lake scored a goal on an offside call, on a blown offside call. So you're going to tell me that the Galaxy aren't the best team just because they've had a little swoon here?
Here's the problem I think that falls in for Real Salt Lake. Let's talk about them for a second and why Nick is absolutely wrong. Here's the real problem for them. They're about to start CONCACAF Champions League, which all of a sudden they're going to be playing Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's going to tire them out a lot, and they're going to be traveling a lot. They have to go down to Panama. They have to go down to Mexico City. They have to fly out to Toronto. In fact, I think at one point they have to play in Mexico City and then go straight to Toronto and play. Their schedule is going to get messy, and it's going to start wearing them out.
In defense of RSL, and we talked a little bit about depth, I think RSL has proven that they have some of the best depth in the league, especially in that midfield. They're also a team that has done this before, and this is my biggest criticism against FC Dallas. They have a lot of guys that are when they get to the postseason, that don't have the
Again, as if the postseason is something different. What's so different?
It is, Simon. Look
Look
at teams that have won. There hasn't been an MLS Cup champion who wasn't in the playoffs the year before, except one time.
Except one time.
And the first season of MLS, I'll give you that. But it makes sense.
2 times.
It's not like teams just go into the playoffs and randomly win, right? It's teams that have similar characteristics.
They have to have.
The New York Red Bulls getting to the final wasn't random. Real Salt Lake getting to the final wasn't random. Colorado Rapids in '97 was not random.
Okay, first off,
97.
start history in 2002.
Jason's already started the new era of MLS.
Yeah, there's definitely
the Galaxy won the Cup with Samson. They were the last team to get into the playoffs. Come on, you can't say it's not random.
It's
just as random as the regular season.
You're going to tell me that Real Salt Lake last year was random? They were one of the favorites in the Western Conference. They underperformed during the season. Before the season, Greg picked them to win the West, right?
I did.
And several other people picked them to win the West.
We're not in the beginning of the season now.
They weren't a team that came out of nowhere.
We're not in the middle of the season right now. We're not at the beginning of the season. We're at the middle of the season looking at MLS Cup. If you had told me in the middle of the season last year, is Real Salt Lake going to win MLS Cup? I would have said, no way. I would have said no way.
By the way,
but now we're middle season. Is FC Dallas going to win? I say yes way.
After this airs, the people in the Eastern Conference are going to be like, hello, what about us? Columbus, New York, Toronto.
And I think Seattle people would probably put an argument for their team as well, and I would point to Champions League for an issue for them.
But that's a team that's dependent on one player. That's where I think FC Dallas, they have too many weapons, FC Dallas does. That's why I think they're going to win it.
Completely wrong.
FC Dallas, my other issue with FC Dallas is Kevin Hartman in goal, prone to gaffes.
Fair enough.
And that's going to hurt you in the playoffs when little tiny mistakes happen. And when they go to, again, for me, this Real Salt Lake, FC Dallas first round matchup, for me, it's going to be a tie in Dallas, and it's going to be a tie in Salt Lake. And they're going to go into penalty kicks, and they have to face Nick Raimondo in penalty kicks.
What is this?
I think Salt Lake is going to take Dallas out.
First of all, your assumption that the Galaxy are going to win the Western Conference, I think is a little. I understand why you're making that assumption.
6 out of their last 7 games at home. They're going to finish the season very strong. including the final week of the season with Dallas going into LA.
And when's the last time? What happened last time Dallas went to LA?
Not the same team.
Do you remember what happened?
Not the same team.
Do you remember what happened?
I do, and it's not the same team.
You do remember?
They're not going to win 6-0.
Okay, just making sure we remember that FC Dallas whooped
and
the Galaxy.
Bruce Arena was
Home
coaching
Depot
that
Center.
team.
And Bruce Arena was
Especially
coaching that
because
team.
of that, that's why you know it's not going to happen again. They would never let that happen again.
Oh, they would never let that happen again, as if Dallas couldn't do it to them.
Well, that's got to be a wrap for today's debate team. Plenty to argue about. I think the Eastern Conference teams are going to want to show something.
There could be some emails
after
coming
that
in from
because,
Eastern Conference.
I mean, look what New York's done. Look what Chicago's done. And obviously, Columbus has a resume. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we all think Western Conference teams. Let it play out and see what happens.